Hi, everyone. I am happy to welcome all of you to the webinar on the ABCs of compassionate communication and welcome our guest speaker, Sue Silcox from Brisbane, Australia. Sue is our Australian affiliate for the AGE-u-cate programs and a wealth of knowledge and great passion in this space of aging. So Sue, it's wonderful to have you and welcome and tell me a little bit, share a little bit more with everyone about yourself.
Thank you, Pam. Well, as you said, I'm in Brisbane and it's January and you would expect it to be sunny, but it's actually quite dull because we're all hoping that we're going to have a bit of a rainy season this summer. In fact, they do have it up north, but we're a bit dry where we are, and we are certainly due for some rain. So fingers crossed.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Absolutely.
Just as we've got our fingers crossed for everything else as well.
Exactly. Yes, this is a worldwide challenge we have going on.
Yeah, indeed.
So it's appropriate for us to, I think, to talk about compassion now because certainly for our Dementia Live and our Dementia Live and Compassionate Touch coaches, you know, what we teach with the importance of compassion and empathy and understanding, it all just weaves in together. And so when you wrote this book, Sue, last year, and I read through it, it was just so spot on. And so for you to be able to share with us, obviously we don't have time to go through all 26 of the tips you have on compassionate communication, but you're going to share four with us, four of what we call the highlights. But before we start, I want to just talk to you because it was so inspirational to read about your introduction, which was a bit about your inspiration behind writing the book and how your grandmothers, made such an impression in your life. So talk to me a little bit about that.
Yes. Well, I have had quite a long career in teaching and training throughout my life. And then I started to move more. I found the Near Dance program, and it certainly changed my life and changed it. And I thought, there is more to life than what I'm doing. I'm going to go out and find it. And find it I have, because it has included me. It took me out from working in, industrial environments into working with older people who have lived often, a life of hardship and so on, certainly in terms of how we think our lives have been, who have lived a harder life than we have and have so much to offer us. And I first started that, and I first started to become inspired through the Ageless Grace program, which I just think is a lovely way to connect and engage with elders particularly, but not just those. And then having done that, then we met through cyberspace. And that inspired me further, doing the Dementia Live and the Compassionate Touch and the flashback training, doing all that really opened my eyes to what we can all offer, and to be able to offer that, what we need to do. And so much of that is compassionately. We can go and help someone across the road and, do all those various things, but actually giving of ourselves as well, so that we give them more than just that helping hand. So, it is all around us. And I don't know about you, one of the things, that bugs me is perhaps going to the shopping mall, and I'm walking along and a shopping mall is wide, and 4, 5, 6 people will walk along, and they'll just be there, and nobody seem or that's sorry, I'm going to change that. Just a few people make life difficult for all of us, and if we can just consider our lives from compassion, then I think we can make a big difference in the world. So yeah, that was the inspiration for actually the collection that I put together, the 26 tips, as you call them, that I put together. And when I wrote it, I wanted it to be useful for anybody, whatever their situation was. It doesn't have to be around dementia, though parts of it are around dementia. It can be around disability, it can be around somebody with a disease, and it could just be ourselves as well, because we all know and understand how important each one of us is. So I certainly wrote it, I put all my heart out there. And as I was writing it, I was also reflecting on different parts of my life. And in particular, as you said, my two grandmothers, very important women in my life. I was brought up pretty much in a household of women. I've got a sister, I have a mother, I had a mother, I had grandmothers and a grandfather. I had a father, but he was absent because he was at sea. So there were a lot of women in that household. Yes. And, we were all pretty tied up with each other. Now, my mother's mother was a very quiet, very timid sort of person. And she lost her husband quite early, my grandfather, when she was quite young. Nobody wanted to listen to her. She herself died at a fairly young age. She died in her 50s, which I think is young. Mm-hmm. And she knew that she was ill. She knew there was something going on in her body, but nobody wanted to listen to her. Nobody would listen to her. And so she lived this very quiet life. And I'm hoping that I can be her voice. I think that's one of the things that drives me. Now, my father's mother was a different kettle of fish completely. She was strong, wasn't a demonstrative family, but she was strong and she was single-minded. And she taught us an awful lot of wonderful values that both my sister and I have continued with through life. My sister is more like that grandmother. I am more like my mother's mother, just in our nature. But yeah, very important people in my life. And that's why I dedicated this to both of them, in the lives they lived, the hard work that they did, and the love that they gave. So yeah, important.
Yeah. In reading the book, and I've read it through several times, it's really grounded in humanity, in really, as you said, I look at it as not only inspirational, but it's really the basics of reminding us what the basics are. And as you said, it's not just with someone with dementia, it's how we should be with each other, no matter who we're with.
And yes, and that's what was important, that it should be able to be read by anybody. It's not it's not a piece of research work that people have to go and look, although it is obviously based on research, but it is written so that anyone can understand it and can get something out of it. And I also wanted to be more than just the written word, to say, oh, this and this and this and this. I wanted people then to have an opportunity to really see how they could go and practice the that particular aspect of the 26 tools that I wrote. So as you know, there is just a few tips for each one, but they are also just the tip of the iceberg, because if one inspires, if one particular story inspires, then there's that opportunity to go and find out more and more and make it and live it your own. And in fact, there is one friend of mine who read the book, and at that time, one of her friends was was at end of life, and she read it. She really spoke. The book really spoke to her. So she ended up buying a book for all of her friends, and they all had a weekly meeting in a coffee shop where they discussed, that particular week's work and study that they had done. And I think it helped them with their grieving process as well. And it's such a privilege to be able to help people in that way.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I can see how just taking one tool and having different perspectives can be so valuable for a group to learn, small group to learn together. So
Yeah.
how about you share? We talked about you sharing your top favorites. So I'm going to let you do that.
Okay. Well, I've chosen four. It's quite difficult to decide which four, but I have thought about the four that are most relevant to my thinking as well. And the first one starts with the letter A. It is A for awareness. And I suppose part of the importance of this is because of the values that I share with you on Dementia Live and Compassionate Touch. It is about, if we can know and understand ourselves, if we can be aware of ourselves and aware of our impact on other people, then we can make that huge difference in life. When I talk about people going through the mall with, a great group of them, totally unaware of anything else that's, and anyone else or anybody else around them. The same with the people that you see walking along the road with their head in their hand as they watch their phone, completely oblivious to anybody else. But once you, as we all know, once you experience what it is like to be on the receiving end of that, then we can start to change what we're doing, and we can start to adapt how we go with our behaviors and how we treat people, and also how we treat ourselves. I mean, if my grandmother was aware that there was something going on in her body, something pretty awful going on in her body, she knew that she would have spent a lot of time thinking about it and doing things. And that's a very unfortunate awareness that we have, but it's also very important that we do know that so that we can express it. But even just all those everyday things that we can be aware of, the things that we really like doing and touching. I'm a very tactile person. So the awareness of the tissue on my hand, or the awareness of somebody coming in behind me, and I may not see them, but I realize they're there, and I adjust myself and adjust my behavior. So I think, first of all, we really need to get inside ourselves and sense as much as we can. And so in thinking about that, in the little exercises that I put in, it is a case of just lying there quietly. How often do many of us have time to just lie or sit quietly and bring our focus to a particular part of our body? just bringing that focus to it. I mean, I'm calling it awareness because I want to feel, I want to be able to sense maybe the blood getting to the end of my fingertips and then returning. Um, that is going to, that is, for me, that is very meaningful. Obviously, that's, yeah, just bringing that closeness to myself. Then, when I have then got that understanding of what makes me tick, I can now project that onto somebody else as well. So if I know that a particular thing that I do makes me feel uncomfortable or gives me pleasure, then it is so much easier to say, oh, I wonder if a person I'm caring for or a person I'm living with, I wonder if that would make their life better today, or if that would do something for them today. So I think that awareness is one of those critical skills that we so quickly forget. Recently, I injured my leg and was on crutches for a while and hopped around. One of our cats is amazing. She is a really aware cat. Her senses are so sharp. And she's normally goes outside, but she has stayed in specifically for it. That is innate in all of us. We all have that capacity. Unfortunately, we let it fade away as we get on with the busyness of life. And so I believe we need to take time and make time to bring that back into our lives. I think our lives will be richer, and certainly the lives of the people we live with and the people that we care for will be richer as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, awareness, and we know from them that awareness leads to understanding and lots of things.
All those other things. Yeah.
Now the next one I chose is person-centered care. P for person-centered care. And I know it's very much in vogue that we should, in a care situation, that we need to consider the person we are caring for, because we're all different. I do understand that, but there is just a little intro to that. I started off my life as a teacher. Hardly my life. Started off my career as a teacher. And at the time, during my training, and then once I started teaching, that was when we learned about child-centered care, and it was specific to the school. And I had a class of, my first teaching class probably had about 39 children. Oh dear. Probably had about 39 children in it, and they were the ages of between 5 and 7. So it was quite chaotic. But it is obvious that every one of them is different. There is, just like my grandmother's, there's the one who's quiet and who doesn't want to say anything. And there's the one who's boisterous and demands your attention. And, all those children are now adults, probably, yes, they'd all be adults. They're still those people. They've still got those personalities. They've still got those needs and those desires. They may have changed along the way, but they've still got them. And they are going to take those into their old age. Whatever happens, it is there. It is person-centered care. And you have to do that, whatever. No, thank you. So the person is pretty much, I'm going to say the center, but I think that's got to be balanced as well. The person in a care situation is really important, that they're they're the person we want to please. They're the person not just pleased, that we need to make sure that their life is good and is happy. So we need to be able to find the soul of them, the essence of them, so that we can do the best for them. And that, I think, is again something that is, if we can do that, it brings out our compassion and it allows us to work with them in a compassionate way. And it is, you know, it is possible to be in a situation with a number of people, with everyone with their different needs, and not go blanket through everyone's going to do the same thing, but everyone is going to have their needs accommodated to the best of our ability. And I think the best of our ability is an important thing to consider as well. So yeah, person-centered care. I did say, that's right, that's where I got distracted, I'm afraid.
That you're hearing the birds and enjoying the birds as well.
Oh. Yeah. If, you know, the person I put at the center of care, but I do think it's a partnership. It's the person at the center of care, and it is the people around them, either the one care person who is looking after them or the body of people who are caring for them as well. They are so important, because without them, how can you, you know, how can you really provide the best experience for that person in that day or in that week? And yeah, the other thing that I did get properly distracted, didn't I? In our Australian quality standards, they've recently been rewritten, and the person is the centre of the standards. So everything is around that person.
And that person's needs and that person's personhood, you know, and
personhood, exactly, yes.
With, you know, realizing that that person is not the disease, and
yeah,
beyond, looking deeper than that. Yeah. And that takes awareness, right?
Yes.
So we've just connected the first two. What's your third? What's your third?
Now, my third, I skipped to the end of the book because not because I wanted to talk about the X word, but because the word that says it for me is this opposite side of the coin. It's X is for extraordinary. And I think that as people, all of us do extraordinary things. We are extraordinary beings. We cope with life's difficulties, and we very often just get on with it once we've got awareness and so on. And so every little thing we do, I think we need to celebrate ourselves for the extraordinary job we do. And if we can look at that extraordinariness of ourselves, then we can see where we didn't quite come up to scratch, where, you know, because there's always room for improvement. Right. But I think that so many of us actually want to go and beat ourselves with birch twigs every time we do anything that doesn't come up to our expectations, where I really think we need to celebrate completely that the extraordinary things that we've done, the things that we did above and beyond what we could do, the fact that our extraordinariness has made somebody else's life much better.
And that extraordinary can be as imperfect as, yes, and that's okay. Yes. I think too many times, especially when we're caring for someone, say with dementia, that is so very difficult, we tend to beat ourselves up, or you know, get down because we haven't done what we think we shoulda, coulda. And yeah, I think celebrating what we've done, as
Mm,
imperfect as it is important.
yeah, yeah. And in that care situation, it can often be, a lot of hard work in there, a lot of thankless tasks being done. So if somebody isn't able to thank us because of their own disease or the dementia, whatever it happens to be, because of their own, their lack of speech, then I think we have to thank ourselves for what we do. And I think this is also where, as you said, all the different parts of the book come together, because we do need to be thankful for what we have, and also for what we are and who we are.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
it will, yeah, I think for me, just accepting that that was pretty good, whatever. For me, that was pretty good. I'm not comparing it to anybody else, but for me, that was pretty good.
Yes, I love it. What's your last tool?
And the last one is O for opportunity. So, and this is particularly relevant, I think, in disability and in dementia. We take it is so easy to take people's opportunities away from them. We often want to nurture them and want to keep them safe and want to protect them, thinking that we will make their lives better. But what we may be doing is denying them an opportunity for them to see their extraordinariness in one way. Just because somebody may not be able to talk easily or fluently or express themselves in a coherent manner doesn't mean to say that they can't arrange a beautiful vase of flowers.
Right.
And so we need to be able to find those opportunities to let people feel good about themselves and in their own way um, thank us for the job that we're doing as well. And there are all sorts of ways that we can do it. I'm thinking about all those wonderful empowerment tools that come with Dementia Live. There are so many opportunities there that allow us to um, give the people that we're caring for that opportunity to do something more than just sit in a corner or just be told, no, you can't, just sit there while I frantically get the supper ready or whatever I'm doing. There are things that people can do. We see them, they, fold up the towels, fold up the clothes. And, that's lovely, but let's look for more opportunities as well so that they
Purpose.
can have a fulfilling life. And what I want to see ultimately is that we know we're all on a path to an end of life sometime in the future. Uh, and, that's people who are left feel sad. But how good it would be to have that person's life remembered with you, with all those wonderful memories and all those wonderful opportunities that you were able to give them because you recognized who they are, you recognized the person in there, you were aware of what their needs were, and you just did extraordinary things for them to help them live their very best day.
I think the four that you picked out so beautifully connect with one another because,
Thank you. Yes,
when you look
yes,
at
I saw
awareness and
a nice
personhood
rounded.
and all of those, yeah, it's beautiful. And hopefully for our coaches listening and anyone else today, they'll see the connection of, whether they've done the Dementia Live program or Compassionate Touch, just the few tools you've shared and how, these other all 26 can be almost a mini education session for care partners or for anyone really. I mean, it's really a book of growth is how I viewed
Yeah,
it.
and in Australia, I usually pop a copy of that book into the gear pack and say to coaches, a 5-minute team train, or at the start of the day or the end of the day, whenever you do it, and you can't think what to do this week, so just open up the book and choose something. If you've got all the empowerment tools I know, but then you can also supplement them with that as well if you want.
Well, your coaches in Australia are very fortunate. We'll have to talk about that for our coaches here in the States and other in Canada and others to be able to share that. But thank you, Sue. This was a really great opportunity for you to give us just a snippet of the tools that you've provided that are so very, very important to human connection and human us being better at what we do in connecting with others and being compassionate and empathetic and understanding and being more aware and all those things that are so critical to our own health, but in enriching the lives of others, which, for all of us in this space, I think that we all are great carers. We care about others tremendously,
Yeah.
or we wouldn't be in this space. And so I thank you so much for your time in sharing. It's early in the morning there, and it's going into evening here in Texas. So thus the reason that we've recorded this for our coaches, but I think that this is going to be very inspirational, and we'll have information on how you can get the book. And so for that, I just thank you again, Sue, for sharing your time with us. And you're a wonderful Ageless Grace educator and Dementia Live educator and Compassionate Touch. And I know you feel like I do, that we cannot wait to get out again and be able to do this and connect with others in person and just share our passion.
And Pam, thank you for the opportunity to tell you that, but also thank you for bringing me on the opportunity to be, to take me on this path to realize all the things that I have learned after manufacturing and industrialization.
Quite an extraordinary career that you've had, and what a path you've been on since you traveled all the way to Texas 3 years ago to be a Dementia Live and Compassionate Touch Master Trainer and take it back to Australia and introduce these programs to Australia. It's been a wonderful journey with you that I look forward to many more years of doing this together and helping others and just enriching the people that we are training. So
I hope so.
Yes, again, thank you. Enjoy your day and the beautiful birds that you have in plentiful supply there always. And hopefully you'll get that rain and soon.
Yeah, I expect so.
Yeah. Thank you again.
Well, good night. Enjoy your evening.
All right. And you enjoy your day.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.